here at Snetterton for another round of the Performance Direct Radical Clubmans Cup. Now, the weather, as you can see, is fairly dull. It has actually been raining all night, but the track should be fine by now. It's only if any of the cars come off of the track onto the grass, then they could be in trouble. Now, for a number of the drivers here, this is actually the first time that they've raced out on the Snetterton 300 circuit, so let's see how they get on in qualifying. How have you found the Snetterton 300 track?
When I first went out, I thought, oh, I missed the old one. But now it's grown on me, and it's quite a technical track. It's you've got to get, obviously, the corners all flowing together and carry a lot of speed through. Obviously, the hairpins add in a bit of spice and should be some good overtaking.
So, Alice, congratulations. You qualified on pole, and your first time in a Radical was just yesterday, is that right?
Yeah, it was. First time ever in a Radical yesterday in the 30, I think I had 4 30-minute test sessions. And obviously first time in the wet today, and we're really, really pleased. Radical is a brilliant car. I've really enjoyed it, and Mansell Motorsport put together a fantastic car for me to drive.
And you've raced before as well in Ginetta and Renault, so how does racing with Radical compare?
Compared to Formula Renault that I'm racing at the minute, obviously the Renault has more downforce, so you just need to carry more speed through the corners in a Renault. But these are really stable cars, so, and also the Renault is quite stable as well, which I think has obviously helped me. I'm really surprised. I'm really impressed with the Radical.
What got you into racing in the first place?
I just always enjoyed it. None of my family were into motorsport. Usually you've got your father races or your uncle raced or whatever, but none of mine were. I just was a weird one and opted for motorsport.
Well, the track seems to have dried up somewhat for the first of the 2 Clubmans Cup races that we've got here today. The cars are already lined up on the grid ready to head out, so let's see how they get on in race 1.
Thanks very much, Lucia. Full grid as ever in the Performance Direct Radical Clubmans Cup. We get the green flag at the rear of the field. The first Radical race, the Snetterton 300 circuit, about to get underway. It's the blue car, Alice Powell in pole position, David Jacobs alongside. Away we go. It's a good start from Powell. Will certainly bend the rest of the field. Also starting very well is Frederick Moberg, who looks to be flying through. And it's Moberg there. You can see hassling Alice Powell lead the race. Also on the way is Darren Anley. He's the outside as they go into riches for the first time. Mark Abbott also has made a good start in the second of the Pro Sports. In car David Jacobs, he challenges Darren Anley into Montreal for that 3rd place, and Jacobs going to be hung out to try here around the outside. Yes, through goes Andy Cummings, through goes Mark Abbott, so Jacobs shuffled down a little bit as Abbott looks inside of Andy Cummings into Palmer's, and it's Alice Powell that leads it with Frederick Moberg right on her tail, and then Darren Anley very much there or thereabouts. Powell having to go slightly defensive, so they charge down towards the hairpin. Agostini in car with Steve Burgess, very much in amongst the action here is Steve. Brake lights come on as they turn into the left-hand hairpin, one of the new corners here on the Snetterton 300 circuit. That's Nick Panzelli just ahead of him as through Hamilton. Very quick corner, that one. And then braking into Woggies, and Moberg still hassling Alice Powell. Don't forget, they are in different classes here. We've got Alice Powell in the Super Sport class, Moberg in the Pro Sport class, but at the moment the Swede is rather enjoying his outing. Through Coram Curve and on to lead the first lap of the race. It is Alice Powell, but up into 2nd place now has gone Darren Anley. So it must have been a slight error there from Frederick Moberg. Andy now 2nd, David Jacobs and Mark Abbott having a good battle, and there's a slight gap back to Gary Kane and the rest of the field. Andy Cummings, I think, has also had a couple of ventures. There's Mark Boot, Gary Baxter as well. So wherever you look around the field, plenty of dicing and action going on. This is what we enjoy in Performance Direct Radical Clubmans Cup. John Morris is still very much in the thick of the action. Through Palmer comes Alice Powell. She's not breaking away here. Don't forget, this is her first ever Radical race. And Darren Anley, more Radical cars under his belt, keeping her honest. In car with James Abbott into Montreal. The round goes James. So a moment there for James Abbott, who's won twice thus far this year. A characteristic error there from James. Let's see how he can recover his way up through the pack. Alice Powell, as this race progresses, seems to just be building a slight advantage over the fight for 2nd. It's going well. No, she's not. That was the trick of the camera. 2nd and 3rd are right there on her tail. Some great racing. Then we've got David Jacobs and Mark Abbott in very close attention as well. So it's still Alice Powell from Darren Anley and Frederick Moberg through Coram on towards Murray's. Now, is Darren Anley going to be able to try and find his way through past Alice here? They accelerate on to the centre straight once more, and Darren Anley is tucked right in her slipstream. Over the start and finish line, Frederick Moberg as well. Let's not discount him. Well, here's James Abbott. He's recovering up through the field. That's David Surdland on his tail. Now, David had all sorts of problems in qualifying this morning. Started back of the grid and is making some great progress up through the pack. Hamilton goes to the race lead for Alice Powell. And it's now the turn of Frederick Moberg to challenge us. So Moberg has found his way past Darren Anley, and look at this, the Swedish driver right on the tail of Alice Powell. Through Augies in car with Paul Marsham. It's David Surdland, James Abbott right in front of him. Through the hairpin at Montreal. Marsham unable to do anything about Surdland. Race leaders through Coram once more. The reprofile corner really does tighten into Murray's. Not a problem for Alice Powell, who's using this weekend very much as track time ahead of the Formula Renault UK rounds here a little bit later in the summer. David Jacobs, for the moment, has just been able to see off the challenger Mark Abbott, and then we've got Gary Kane with Bradley Smith right in his tail. Bradley Smith having a great start to the 2011 season as through Coram for the final time, and into Murray's is Alice Powell. This has been an absolutely stunning start to her Radical racing career, and she is going to win the first of the Performance Direct Radical Clubmans Cup races here at Snetterton. The checkered flag goes out, and Alice Powell claims the victory. Great drive from Alice into second place, winning the Pro Sport class. A superb drive from Frederick Moberg, with then Darren Anley in third position. John Morris it was who claimed the Club Sport honours after a hard and tenacious drive through the midfield. Alice Powell, a delighted winner, shaking hands with Frederick Moberg. So the applause from the Radical Clubmans Cup community, the photographers snapping away, and three very happy drivers on the podium.
Huge congratulations, Alice, on your first place win there. And you know that you are actually the first female winner for Radical for any race.
No, I didn't know that, so that's brilliant news. That's really, really good. I mean, it was a tricky start. I was put under quite a lot of pressure, but managed to hook the laps together and make a bit of gap. And saw some traffic and thought, oh no, please don't hold me up, but they did remarkable and got out of the way, so it was really, really good. And I'd like to thank Mansell Motorsport for giving me a really good car, and hopefully we'll do really well in the next race.
Absolutely. And will we be seeing you racing with Radical again after Snetterton?
I definitely hope so. It's a really great series, and I really love driving the cars, so thank you, Radical.
The full field of cars assembled for race 2, but unfortunately had a lengthy delay before they could get underway. When they did, though, it was Alice Powell who once more took the early lead.
Took it easy and cautious. Had a bit of a moment at Coram. There was a bollard, I think, and I could see it. I thought, oh, I'm going to hit that, and then just hit it, and there was a bit of vibration, but it was only 2 laps from the end, so it was fine. Really, really great. It's a brilliant win for Mansell Motorsport and myself and everyone that involved. So I'm really, really pleased, and I've really got on with the circuit, and hopefully if we raise enough money, we'll hopefully do a few more Radical races.